Both North and South Carolina were once part of the Carolina colony established in the 17th century. They eventually split in the 18th century, forming two distinct states with unique identities. Both states boast diverse geography, from majestic mountains and rolling hills to sun-soaked coastal plains. They might look like twin siblings on the map, but how is it that North Carolina's population is nearly double that of South Carolina? What's behind this significant difference? And why don't more people live in South Carolina compared to North Carolina? Today, we're diving into the heart of the Carolinas to explore why these two seemingly similar states have such different population dynamics. As always, there's a fascinating blend of geography, history, and economics behind this story. At the time of the first European contact, both North Carolina and South Carolina were home to numerous Native American tribes. In North Carolina, tribes such as the Cherokee, Tuscarora, and Meherrin thrived in the mountainous western regions, speaking Iroquoian languages and cultivating a rich culture deeply connected to the land. In the central Piedmont area, Siouan-speaking tribes like the Catawba and Saponi made their homes, while Algonquin-speaking tribes inhabited the coastal plains. Similarly, South Carolina was inhabited by tribes including the Catawba, Chirraw, and Waccamaw. These tribes engaged in farming, hunting, and trading, creating sophisticated societies that had a profound connection with the diverse landscapes they occupied. From the towering peaks to the sprawling coastal marshlands, the arrival of European explorers in the 1500s brought dramatic changes. The first European to explore North Carolina was Giovanni de Verrazzano, who sailed along the coast near Cape Fear. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, the French attempted to establish a settlement at Charles Fort in 1562, but it lasted less than a year. The Spanish also tried, establishing Santa Elena in 1566, but it was eventually abandoned after attacks from neighboring indigenous communities. It wasn't until the English established Charlestown, now Charleston, in South Carolina in 1670 that a permanent European foothold was established. The English settlers brought with them new economic ambitions, but also conflicts with indigenous peoples. In 1710, the Tuscarora people in North Carolina protested the seizure of their lands and the enslavement of their people, leading to the Tuscarora War. The war ended in 1713 with the defeat of the Tuscarora, many of whom migrated north to join the Iroquois Confederacy. Similarly, in South Carolina, tensions erupted in the Yampsee War of 1715, where the Yampsee and Creek tribes fought against the colonists. The conflict was fierce and had the Cherokee allied with the Yampsee and Creek. The outcome might have been different. However, the colonists ultimately maintained control, solidifying European dominance in the region. As the colonies developed, geography played a pivotal role in shaping their destinies. But before we delve into how these geographical features influenced the settlement and development of the Carolinas, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that subscribe button. More captivating geography stories are just a click away. North Carolina's geography is a tapestry of diverse landscapes. To the west, the Blue Ridge Mountains, part of the Appalachian Range, dominate the skyline. Mount Mitchell towers at approximately 6,700 feet, cloaked in lush forest that seem to stretch endlessly. The scenic Blue Ridge Parkway winds through these mountains, offering breathtaking vistas. Eastward lies the Piedmont, a plateau of rolling hills that gently descends toward the coastal plain. This region is the heartland of North Carolina, home to the vibrant cities like Charlotte, known for its towering skyline and bustling economy, and Raleigh, the state's capital, brimming with cultural institutions and universities. The coastal plain extends to the Atlantic, characterized by flat terrain, wide estuaries, and the enchanting Outer Banks. These barrier islands, with their wind-swept dunes and historic lighthouses like the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, protect the mainland from relentless Atlantic waves and have been the site of countless shipwrecks, earning the moniker Graveyard of the Atlantic. South Carolina mirrors this diversity, but on a slightly smaller scale. In the Northwest, the Blue Ridge Mountain region boasts rugged landscapes and the state's highest point, Sassafras Mountain, standing about 3,600 feet. The Piedmont region, with its rolling hills, is home to cities like Greenville and Spartanburg, blending southern charm with modern industry. The upper coastal plain, marked by sandhills, ancient coastal dunes now inland, leads to the lower coastal plain, where the land flattens and expansive wetlands and marshes thrive. Here, the Ace Basin, formed by the Ashepo, Combahee, and Edisto rivers, is a haven for wildlife and a testament to the state's natural beauty. The coastline features wide sandy beaches and popular destinations like Myrtle Beach and Hilton Head Island, drawing tourists from around the world. However, despite the geographical similarities, there are key differences that influenced each state's development. North Carolina is larger, covering about 54,000 square miles, making it the 28th largest state. South Carolina, in comparison, covers approximately 32,000 square miles, ranking as the 40th largest. Climate-wise, North Carolina experiences 4 distinct seasons, with winter temperatures dropping below freezing and summer temperatures soaring into the 80s Fahrenheit. In general, South Carolina enjoys a more subtropical climate, with hotter, more humid summers and milder winters. The treacherous coastline of North Carolina, while beautiful, was a significant barrier to early settlement and trade. The lack of natural harbors meant that large ships couldn't easily dock, and the dangerous shoals deterred many would-be settlers. This isolation contributed to North Carolina's slower growth in its early years. South Carolina's advantageous geography allowed for easier access to trade routes and the development of Charleston as a major port city. The fertile lands of the Lowcountry were ideal for rice and indigo plantations, crops that became economic staples thanks to the labor of enslaved Africans who were brought to work on these plantations. Although the Albemarle region of North Carolina was the first permanent settlement in the Carolina area, it lacked the natural harbors and easy access to trade that benefited South Carolina. In the 1670s, English planters from Barbados established themselves near what is now Charleston, South Carolina. They built vast rice plantations in the Lowcountry, and by 1720, enslaved Africans formed a majority of the population due to the labor demands of these plantations. Meanwhile, North Carolina was settled by small farmers moving south from Virginia. Lacking a viable coastal port city, towns in North Carolina grew slowly and remained small. Pirates like Blackbeard menaced the coastal settlements, taking advantage of the isolated inlets and hidden coves. Fast forward to the modern era, and we see that North Carolina's economy has diversified significantly. The state boasts a strong finance, healthcare, and technology sector. The Research Triangle Park, established in 1959, has become a hub for technology and research, attracting companies in tech, pharmaceuticals, and biotech. Cities like Charlotte have become major banking centers, with institutions like Bank of America headquartered there. The presence of major universities like Duke, North Carolina State, and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill has fostered an educated workforce, fueling innovation and growth. South Carolina's economy, while also diversified, relies heavily on manufacturing, particularly in automotive and aerospace industries. Companies like BMW, Volvo, and Boeing have facilities in the state. Tourism is also a significant industry thanks to its beautiful beaches and historical sites. However, South Carolina has faced challenges including higher crime rates and limited high-paying job opportunities compared to its northern neighbor. North Carolina has invested heavily in infrastructure and education. The state's highway system connects its major cities and facilitates commerce. The establishment of the Research Triangle Park leveraged the proximity of major universities, creating a unique environment for innovation and economic development. In South Carolina, while there are interstate highways and major ports like Charleston, the state has faced challenges with declining railway mileage and limited healthcare options, especially in rural areas. These factors have impacted the state's attractiveness for settlement compared to North Carolina. As of 2024, North Carolina's population stands at around 10.7 million people, making it the ninth most populous state. South Carolina, in contrast, has about 5.3 million residents, ranking 23rd in population. Both states attract retirees due to their lower cost and warmer climates. But North Carolina's diverse economy and job opportunities have drawn more residents, particularly in metropolitan areas like Charlotte and Raleigh. Interestingly, South Carolina was 2023's fastest-growing state by population percentage. As housing costs rise in other southern states like Florida, people are looking for more affordable alternatives, and South Carolina's warm climate and lower costs are attractive. Despite their similarities, the border between North Carolina and South Carolina is anything but a straight line. Instead, it features a peculiar notch, an inward dip near the middle of the boundary that exists to this day. This unusual shape is a result of centuries-old disputes and surveying errors dating back to the colonial era. In the 18th century, when the Carolinas were being divided, inaccurate surveying instruments and conflicting interpretations of colonial charters led to the boundary mistakes. Early surveys intended to establish a clear border instead produced overlapping land grants and governance confusion. The 1735 and 1737 surveys, for instance, mistakenly placed boundary markers too far south, inadvertently granting North Carolina an extra strip of land. Efforts to correct these errors, such as the surveys in 1764 and 1772, only compounded the problem. To accommodate the lands of the Catawba Nation, surveyors adjusted the boundary westward, creating a distinctive notch that juts into South Carolina. This notch was meant to place the Catawba within South Carolina's borders, but due to earlier mistakes, it led to further ambiguities. It wasn't until the late 20th and early 21st centuries that both states collaborated to resurvey the border using modern technology, finally resolving the disputes. Today, the notch remains a visible reminder of the historical challenges and the complex journey toward defining state lines, symbolizing how North Carolina and South Carolina have navigated and overcome their past to build a clearer future together. So, why do fewer Americans live in South Carolina compared to North Carolina? A combination of factors, including historical settlement patterns, economic diversification, infrastructure development, and demographic trends have led to North Carolina's larger population. While both states share a rich history and similar geography, North Carolina's investments in education, industry, and infrastructure have made it a more attractive destination for many Americans.